Welcome to our 17th session, grade 11 students. We are nearly done with our final term. How are you feeling? You may share it on the comment box. After all the 16 sessions that we have shared together, what have you learned so far? As for me, I'm still learning a lot in this subject despite of being your live stream teacher. And I hope you are learning too. At the end of the session, I want you to share your thoughts and questions about our topics discussed. It will be a sort of feedback to me. What I told you, an effective communication requires feedback. Is that okay? Thank you in advance. Last meeting, I shared with you tips on speech writing. Can you still recall about those tips? Certainly, I hope that you certainly remember those things. So for today, we'll now move on to tips on speech delivery, and you will be guided by this most essential learning. Uses, principles of effective speech delivery in different. So again, we are going to discuss about tips on effective speech delivery. According to Stephen Lucas in his book, The Art of Public Speaking in 2011, good delivery conveys the speaker's ideas clearly, interestingly, and without distracting the audience. Most, most audiences prefer delivery that combines a certain degree of formality with the best attribute of good conversation. So, what are the attributes of good conversation? Directness, spontaneity, animation, vocal and facial expressiveness, and a lively sense of communication. So here are the tools for effective speech delivery. As a speaker, you have to put this in mind so that you would be conscious and aware on how should you deliver your speech effectively. Try to think of a certain public speaker that you like and try to visualize how these tools is reflective on how they speak. The first tool is, how do these speakers connect with their audience? Is it formal, informal, personal, conversational, or intimate? This connection would vary depending on the speaker's audience. If there's if his or her audience is someone that is very close to him, of course it could be something that is very conversational or intimate. If the person or the audience of the speaker are professionals or colleagues, of course it should be formal. Public servants, whenever they speak in front of their constituents, it should be in a formal connection or something that is very conversational. How about the next? It's the approach. How should the speaker approach the audience? Or what is their approach in delivering their speech? A speaker should be aware of maintaining eye contact. The speaker should be aware of his or her body movements whenever she speaks in front of his audience. Another would be the facial expression. As a speaker, you should be aware that you should provide appropriate expressions on the certain context of your speaking. For the third tool would be, how should the speaker present himself or herself to his audience? This one would pertain to stage presence. Stage presence, it includes, how does the speaker look, the physical appearance, the wardrobe, how the posture, or how does the speaker stands or walks, and also the nonverbal. Last is the voice. Of course, since from the word speaker, it is expected that the main ingredient or the main element that the speaker needs would be his voice. So without the voice, it would be very hard to deliver a speech. So what does this voice contains? Of course, as a speaker, you should know, should observe volume on when or when should you have your voice loud or soft for the volume. For pitch, should be high or low. Rate would pertain whether you want to speak faster or you want to speak slower. For the pause, pauses is very important on a certain speaking activity, and last would be the pronunciation. You have, as a speaker, you have to practice in front of a mirror and observe your own delivery with these tools in mind. Okay. Alternatively, you can practice in front of your family, friends, classmates, or those who have already done public speaking. I know you have missed talking in front of people, right? Because you've been staying inside our houses for a very long time, and recitation is very hard to do because you do not attend face-to-face classes. So if there's an opportunity for you to practice in front of your family members, grab that. You can ask for feedback or seek advice from them. Explore which tools work best for you and develop a habit of effective delivery to enhance your public speaking skill. Keep practicing and engaging yourself in speaking situations. Remember, you already have the public speaking skill, but you will only improve if you speak in public constantly. So here are the tips for effective delivery. Number one, start your speech by standing straight and balancing. I'm not necessarily speaking that you have to be fit and skinny to balance your weight. This one talks that you have to put your foot forward, one foot forward, so that to gain balance. Because this will give a positive first impression. Second one, use precise movements. Avoiding distracting mannerisms like swaying back and forth, leaning on the podium, licking or biting your lips, playing with your wristwatch or jewelry, scratching parts of your body, frowning, and others. You have to avoid this kind of mannerism because it's distracting for your audience. Observe your mannerisms and learn how to avoid them when speaking in public. How about the third one? Avoid having a poker face or a highly animated. Because animation or being animated whenever you talk is actually appropriate for an audience if your audience are actually kids. But if it is a formal gathering, you have to avoid that because these facial expressions appear distracting and may even be annoying. Instead, follow most highly suggested tip. You have to smile. However, make sure that the meaning of your speech reflects in your facial expression. Do not smile if you're talking about something sad. Not be that ironic. Next, maintain eye contact. Should be maintained to keep the attention of your audience and enhance your delivery. One thing about alleviating your fear whenever you speak in front is that you have to look for someone in the audience looking at you because from there you can establish now connection. But of course, do not look on that person, on that solely on that particular person. You have to look on your audience. Next, number five, remember to adjust your volume to the same size of the audience individually. That's why, as what I told you, one of the preliminaries and preparation for for a speaking engagement, you have to know your venue. So that you can adjust your voice, whether should you talk loud or will there be available materials like the microphone for you to speak louder. Next, because you should not sound shouting or yelling. For the sixth tip, master your voice and find your pitch level, whether it could be high or low. If you have a high pitch level, modulate or slightly move it down. If you have a low pitch level, modulate or slightly move it up. Your performance will definitely be affected if you do not modulate. Again, you may search it on YouTube or on Google talking about optimum pitch level and how should you get that. For number seven, vary your rate or speed to keep your audience interested and to avoid a monotone pattern. So we don't want our audience to be bored. So if you speak very slowly and they might get confused if you speak very fast. Hence, your rate should be at an appropriate speed. Again, the purpose of your speaking is for these people to listen to you and to get something from you. And since you're expressing your point and you want to be understood, make sure that you have to observe your rate of speaking. The eighth tip would be pronounce and enunciate words correctly. You will confuse the audience if you mispronounce words, and it could and it could distract them and affect your credibility. That's why if you have some unfamiliar words in your script, you may look that on Google and try to look on how it will be pronounced correctly. For the ninth tip, avoid fillers or expressions that substitute actual words in your speech. I know you have encountered fillers like uh, uh, see, that is distracting and annoying. So to reduce the use of these fillers, detect the instances when you use them. Do you generally use fillers after each sentence, between different ideas, or whenever you make transitions? Then, instead of using them the next time you deliver a speech, simply stop and pause. But do not pause for a very long time, okay? So the waiting time is just 3 seconds. For the 10th tip would be use pauses when you emphasize the most important words, phrases, or sentences. Your pauses should not last for 3 seconds. Otherwise, it will result in dead air or a moment of awkward silence. So you have to be aware of that. 11. Use a conversational style more often. This is the style that is more natural. It is the style that you always use when you express yourself with your family and audience members do not like a speaker to sound unnatural or exaggerate. It calls for a specific occasion where you need to be very, very much formal and technical. So that's why you have to know the nature of the activity before you prepare for your speech. 12 tip would be dress properly and appropriate. You have to wear the proper attire that will make you look more confident and professional. Make sure not to overdress as this may distract your audience. Just wear the right clothes for the right occasion. Okay, take note of that. 13, observe ethics by coming prepared, being honest with your words, being polite, avoiding offensive words and backbiting or talking negative things about others. Number 14, breathe in and out to relax for your speech. Most importantly, have fun. This time around, please comment your questions about some topics that you want to be explained first, or suggestions on what should we discuss for our last virtual meeting. Before I end the session, let me share with you these words from the poet Ralph Waldo Emerson. He says here, all the great speakers were bad speakers first. It is just a matter of practice to be a good one. With that, happy learning. See you on our next virtual meeting. Goodbye.